What is up, Raider Nation? Your buddy Murf back once again for what we trust will be a fantastic episode of the Raiders Fan Radio Rundown. This is the not live version of Raiders Fan Radio where myself and my best friend Swag Jeff, we sit around, we talk about the Raiders.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and then, so sorry we're not live tonight. Today is the official opening day of the NFL season, of the new season, Swag.
Hey.
Which is awesome. We've now made it through the legal tampering period, so we pretty much know where everything is going to go. But there's still going to be some, of course, straggler signings and whatnot. But we wanted to bring a show to you this week. We will definitely be back live next week, but we've got some other commitments that came up tonight, so we won't be able to do the show live. But appreciate everybody that is joining us, anyways, on the YouTubes.
That's right.
There for the premiere.
Oh, yeah.
And what number was this? Did we say we're going to start numbering these things now? Right?
It's like 22 or something like that.
Nah, it's more than that. It's like 37.
Okay, well then why the hell did you ask me?
Because I thought you would know. Anyways, without further ado, welcome my best friend and yours. He is Swag Jeff.
Hey.
Oh, wait. Oh, there you go.
It's Skyler and Profiler.
What up, Swaggo?
Man, you know, this is my favorite time of year.
There's hope.
There's hope, man. Yeah, we're filled with good feelings, and we see our future, and we predict Super Bowls and all that stuff that all happens right now. And it's so funny. You talk about legal tampering. That's just like, I feel like that's a fairly new thing, right? Has it always been that way?
Yeah, it's just not been talked about. Like nowadays,
It's like maybe it's just never had a name.
and now it's always kind of been called that.
Has it?
Yeah, you just don't hear the exposure of it like you used to. Like
I
now
guess
it's
so.
like the NFL is just absolute genius at marketing. And there's only, like, we call it the offiest of the offseason and all that kind of stuff. And it's really, there is. And when you start getting into like June and July and like there's definitely some offy to that off season.
Right.
But outside of that, it's a year-round league, man, and they've literally branded every, like, chunk of the during and off season, and they're So you get the legal tampering period. It's literally like a 3-day window, and then now you've got the league year starting.
Exactly.
And then that's going to lead us into the draft, and then you're going to have mini camps and OTAs and all, the schedule release, which comes out of with the like a time when there's nothing going on.
I feel like sometime in May or something like that gets released and all that. Yeah.
So you get all this stuff that starts coming out, man. It's like they're brilliant at it.
Yeah.
And then people they start reporting in August.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's like June and July is really the only major downtime.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But then at that point, our team is put together completely.
Yes,
we know what the team is going to look like going out on the field and stuff like that. So that's still, there's so much hope and excitement during that time, even though we're just kind of standing around twiddling our thumbs going, when's football going to be back? We have an idea of where we're going and all that kind of stuff. So, and then the season happens and then we're like, oh
man,
can't wait for March.
Yeah. 4 weeks in.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but the Raiders we made some moves and all that stuff. We did, brought some people back, brought in some new faces and all that stuff. And so that's, I'm sure, what everyone here at the premiere tonight for the rundown, that's what we want to talk about tonight.
We are. And so I would say anybody that's out there saying like the Raiders didn't do enough, they need to do more. Suck it, hater. No, the Raiders did just fine. Like, you want to go out and sign LaMarcus Joyner and Corey Littleton over again? You want to go through that all over again? Like, making big splashes in free agency doesn't win you Lombardis.
No.
You don't win Lombardis in March. I'm sorry, man. And so I think that the Raiders, listen, they're not the Tennessee Titans. Have you seen the Tennessee Titans free agency activity? Crickets. If I had the cricket sound handy, I would play it.
Yeah.
Like, there's teams that do nothing. How about the Green Bay Packers? Anybody see that wild moves the Packers are making this offseason?
They've got Nate Hobbs.
Well, they do have Nate Hobbs. Yeah. But they don't make, you know what I'm saying? Like, some teams are pretty freaking quiet. And the Raiders have not been. So I would say this, that like, they're doing the responsible thing, but it's not overly responsible. It's not like they're not doing anything at all.
Right.
And we're not getting a bunch of guys that are, cheap contracts just because, we have to be. It's not the Reggie McKenzie era where it's like, oh shit, we got to fill out a roster. So let's friggin' sign Justin Tuck because we need a guy or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying to figure out how to fill out your roster. That's not what this is. And when you really look at the way that the numbers start to break down, it makes a lot of sense. And I'll preface it by saying this. I know people love Robert Spillane. I love Robert Spillane too. He was a little bit of a liability in coverage, but I like the guy.
Yeah, dude was a Raider.
He was a Raider.
Yeah.
I like Nate Hobbs.
Sure.
Little injury prone, but playing inside at corner, pretty good freaking player.
Yep.
Right? Like, you know.
Trayvon Merrick's in that.
Trayvon Merrick. Thank you. Trayvon Merrick. Pretty good player. These pretty good players are getting absolute top dollar.
Oh my gosh, they're getting bags,
They're
bro.
getting bags. And you can't do that. You can't overpay for pretty good players. I would say they're not even mediocre. They're pretty good. They're better than mediocre.
They're pretty good.
You can't pay top dollar for players like that. That's how you get into salary cap hell. If we decide with the Max Crosby extension, the acquiring of Geno Smith, if we assign those guys at the amounts to which they got paid, guess what? We're out of cap space.
Yeah, we ain't got nothing left.
Already done. The end. Like, so the math doesn't math. You can't do that, Raider Nation. You can't overspend for pretty good players. What you do is you acquire your stars in the draft and then you re-sign them. And then you fill back in with role players. That's the way that modern day NFL rosters are going to be built.
And that's what John Spytek said he was going to do from the very, very beginning. You see his track record in Tampa Bay. What did he do? He drafted his guys and brought them back. I mean, shit, you see, look at a guy like Chris Godwin that turned down $20 million extra to go somewhere else because he wanted to stay in Tampa Bay. That's what they did there. And so I'm totally with you, man. I don't begrudge them at all for, let's build this in the draft. Let's find value players that are maybe just as good as some of these other guys and get them for a lot less.
A lot less, like a third of what it is. And so, I'm not a big fan of PFF scores and all that kind of stuff. But when you start contrasting the guys that have left and the guys that have now been brought in, the numbers start looking pretty good. Now, I'm not going to do PFF scores for you here, but I do want to do let's do a little bit of a rundown of what, let's do a little bit of what this actually has looked like. Like, what is the actual activity of the Raiders? For those of you that are out there being like, well, Raiders haven't done anything. Okay, well, except they have. And so here you go. So in reverse order. Back on February 18th, they waived Keenan Isaac. Okay, he's the practice squad guy. Also on February 18th, wide receiver Kyle Phillips was signed to take Isaac's roster spot. I know this aren't flashy, but this is what we've been doing. Then on February 24th, here comes the first one. Isaiah Palamau. Raiders re-signed the safety who's going to become a restricted free agent in March to a 2-year extension worth $7.5. Palamau, 25 years old, started 14 games last season after Marcus Epps suffered a season-ending torn ACL in week 3. This is what John Spytek had to say. We don't want to let any good players walk out of the building, especially our young players. You got to give a lot of respect to a young kid that's undrafted and has a chance to get thrust into the starting lineup, and the next thing you know, he's playing at a good level. There you go.
And looking at that in retrospect today, what a freaking move that was by signing him to a 2-year, $8.5 million contract.
Yeah.
I mean, holy shit. That dude probably would have gotten, maybe not double that, but he would have gotten a lot more in free agency had he made it there, I think.
I wouldn't say a lot more, but he probably would have gotten more than that, I would say.
Yeah.
But he's still, look, he's just 1 year. 13 games anyway. So, so it's not a career like you look at Trayvon Merrick or Bob Spillane or whatever. So, there's a lot more to runway there required to get the big offer.
But it's value.
They certainly would probably get a lot more than that, than what I just read to you.
Yeah.
All right. Then on February 28th, what did we do? Got rid of Desmond Ridder. That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
DJ Turner. March 3rd, the Raiders informed Turner they wouldn't resign him to a restricted free agent tender. March 5th, bye-bye to Gardner Minshew. Minshew Mania. Rest in peace, man. We barely knew
Fly
you.
High King.
Fly High King, man. That was, and I want to say this about the Gardner thing because, I play a lot on the social media, especially on the X.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I love it. And some people were like, well, Murphy, you just love everything the Raiders do. And there is truth to that because I'm a fan of the Raiders. So when the Raiders make a move, I'm going to look for the positive thing in it. So in the moment of the acquisition, when the prospect reveals itself, yes, I will support just about everything the Raiders are going to do. That doesn't mean my opinion doesn't change. That doesn't mean that your opinion doesn't change, or anybody, or maybe there's a move that you were critical of and then all of a sudden it works out. Well, then your opinion might change back to a positive direction. So you can be like, oh my gosh, I was wrong about that guy. That guy actually ended up being pretty good.
Yep.
Okay. So point being though, is that I'm not married to my opinion. Just because I look for something bright in Gardner Minshew and go, oh, okay, well, he's a scrappy vet. Look what he did to the prior year. Like, he's got something to prove. This could be a reclamation project type scenario.
Yeah,
like,
I said he was going to be the next Jim Plunkett.
There you go. You know what I mean? So, and I stand by every word I ever said about Gardner Minshew or any other acquisition that the Raiders make. But that doesn't mean that now today, my opinion isn't different. And my opinion is much more different around Gardner Minshew now, because now we know. Now I've seen it. So my opinion changed.
Yep.
It's like with Antonio Pierce. Nobody championed Antonio Pierce more than the three of us in this room for him to be and when he became the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. And then by about week 8 last year, that was it. I was lost.
Yep.
Done. Okay. So much for that idea.
Yep.
Because my opinion changes. So anyways, this is not bootlicker. What are all the damn things? I get the
Stan,
there's another one. There's what's the one? Darn it. I always mess it up. It's the one.
I've heard a lot of people call you dumbass.
Well, that's just the people in my family.
Oh,
That's just from you and Michelle. Even. Yeah.
my bad.
Yeah.
I've called you a lot worse than that.
Yeah, you have. You raggedy ass mother. All right, so Gardner Minshew gets gone. March 5th, also, the Raiders signed Alex Kappa, offensive lineman from the Cincinnati Bengals, to a 2-year, $11 million contract.
Okay.
There are some fans that were like, what are we doing? Hey, man, we need guard help.
And that's all that it is.
It's all it is.
Don't read into that more than what it is. It's help. It's depth. Alex Kappa is not going to be our starting guard or whatever. Like, easy. Because I saw it too. People were going ape shit on the X. They were like, "Oh my gosh, this is the direction that we're going. He's the worst graded, whatever." Well, he's a spike tech guy too.
He's a roster spot. He's serviceable. He's Cody Whitehair or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Anders Pete. Like, he's that's what we're talking about here with this guy. All right. So, but then right after that, though, same day, March 5th, that Alex Kappa disappointment was quickly eclipsed when Max Crosby, for the second time in 3 years, a new regime's first move was rewarding Max Crosby with a huge deal. The Raiders signed the 27-year-old defensive end to a 3-year extension worth $106.5 million, $91 guaranteed, briefly making Crosby the highest paid non-paid quarterback in history. Obviously, then surpassed shortly thereafter by Myles Garrett. This move, Jeff, I think was a very wise one for the Raiders. On the field, off the field, the strategy behind getting Max Crosby under contract when there was already some noise starting to come up. I thought that he's addressed the noise very fairly. And he said on NFL Network, I have to consider everything. Here I got another coach. What was it, 5 and 7 years or whatever the heck it's been for him.
Right.
He's like, I had to consider everything. And so I think that that's fair. I didn't love, because as a Raider fan, you don't love it when your star players are like, well, if I don't like the way this is going to go, then I want to be traded or whatever. No one loves that as a fan. And I'm a firm believer, too, that even if you got it tattooed on your arm, Max Crosby, no one is bigger than the shield. And if you decide that you are and you don't want to be there, well, then bye. Then God bless you and loved you when you were here. But anyways, but since then, and money cures all. You wanted the answer to the question, get me to the end of the money. Well, they got to the end of the money, and it made Max Crosby happy. So the answer to the question is that he's very thankful to be in the silver and black. So I do respect his commitment to the idea that he will also tell you he's a Kobe guy. He's a LeBron, not a LeBron, opposite of that. Kobe guy and a Jordan guy.
Yep.
Respects the players that get it done in one uniform, that
Yep.
ride out the hard times. And so I think that I believe him when he says that. But this was, I thought, the perfect way to start off, because all the other little moves and stuff that we talked about, those weren't even the appetizers.
No.
That was just getting the water when you got to the table.
Exactly.
This was the first thing that kind of kicked it off. And this is what kind of this was on March 5th, as I mentioned. This is kind of what set everything off.
Absolutely.
For the league after this happened.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and why not? Of course it's going to be Max.
Come on.
You know, I mean, as far as the team goes and stuff, you know, you hear Pete Carroll and John Spytek talk about, you know, we have our way of doing things, but we want to keep some of the culture here that was here before. Well, I mean, of course they're going to start with Max right there. I mean, and they said in that presser with Max Crosby, you know, this is the standard. This is our guy. This is the face of the organization. So, of course, we want to take care of him and all that stuff because he's going to, you know, and what he's done his entire time that he's been here is what has he done? He's taken guys under his wing. You know, hey, if you work out like me, you're going to get to a new level.
Yeah.
If you play like me, you're going to get to another level. If you do the right things off the field like me, then you're going to see yourself get to another level. So, you know, I mean, and I still believe, and I know Max Crosby says it all the time, the 1% more and the, you know, more is required and all that kind of stuff. But I seriously think we have not seen the best of Max Crosby.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. He's still in his prime, man.
Hell yeah.
7 years into this thing.
Yep.
Man, like he's got a long way to go still in the NFL. And you can see, you know, edge rushers can excel a lot. I mean, it's almost every position in the NFL because the strength and conditioning is so good and the nutrition is so good. And then you add in a guy that takes it to the highest of levels.
Heck yeah.
Like I would say, like a Tom Brady.
I was about to say, who'd that remind you of? Friggin' Tom.
Yeah. And look at it and freaking, you know, played at an exceptionally high level. You're not well into his 40s, but into his 40s for crying out loud.
Hell yeah.
So I know playing defensive end's a different position and all that. But anyways, the point being though is that these careers can be extended. So I'm with you. I don't see any reason that Max Crosby can't still, you know, extend above and beyond all his already established greatness in the league.
Yeah, no, 100%. I couldn't agree more. And I think having Max Crosby on the team lessens the blow of losing a guy like Robert Spillane. You losing a guy like Nate Hobbs and all that stuff. And I say that because what does he do? He lifts people up and stuff like that. When we signed Robert Spillane a couple years ago, did we think that he was going to turn out to be the kind of standout linebacker that he was?
No, they developed him.
They developed him, and then they had a guy like Max that was like, come along with me. I got you. Follow me. I'll show you the way. I'll show you the way. And so some of these other guys that we're going to get to here in just a moment, I mean, I think these are going to be the next set of guys that, you know, that can rise up and, you know, make themselves better and all that kind of stuff. And also much respect to, and we'll get to some of it, but much respect to Patrick Graham and all that, because when was the last time that the Raiders had a bunch of sought after free agents?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like respect to the defensive group right here, Rob Leonard and Patrick Graham and all that stuff that's, you know, raising talent levels up. And we're sad when we lose some people instead of just like, oh, well, whatever. See you, bye.
Well, and you know who else gets credit for that too?
Who's that?
Mike frickin' Mayock.
Dude, truth.
Like these are Mike Mayock picks.
Yeah, that's true.
These are not first round John Gruden picks.
That's true.
This is not John Abram. This is not Alex Leatherwood. That's not who these guys. These are depth guys.
Mm-hmm.
These are guys that Mayock grabbed. Look what Josh Jacobs. That was a Mayock guy. Look at his jam cut. Like,
yeah,
you look at
you're right, dude. You're right.
I will go to my grave a firm believer that Mike Mayock got a raw deal. I genuinely think that.
I think so,
I
too.
think that he's a phenomenal personnel guy that unfortunately, and as much as I love John Gruden's an egomaniac and he loves his guys, man. I got to get my guys. Well, his guys early on in the draft typically don't work out. At least it didn't ever for us. And I don't even think it did in Tampa either. When he's calling the shots as the GM, then it doesn't end favorably. But when entrusted with studying players and looking and finding value picks, look at what Mike Mayock did. I mean, I know Hunter Renfro's out of the league for unfortunate reasons. I don't know why, but
for now, I saw he's working out again.
Oh my gosh. Thank goodness, man.
Yeah.
I hope Hunter makes it back, man.
Yeah, me
Even
too.
I mean, obviously he may not be with us, but wherever he ends up, man. Just don't end up somewhere else in our division.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, look at Max Crosby. Look at these players, man. That's a great point, Jeff, about Patrick Graham as the developmental guy, but the acquisition guy, it's all freaking Mayock, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. You look at that. Look at Nate Hobbs. Look at Divine Diablo. You know, look, Trayvon Mayer. You know, all these guys. Like, holy cow, man! You're exactly right, man. Like, much respect to Mike Mayock.
Yeah, good job there, Mike. All right, so then up March 7th, Tamari Fox, undrafted free agent, gets let go. Michael Gallup gets also terminated from the retired reserve list so he can make his comeback, which was interesting. And then also March 7th, Andre James.
Yep.
See Andre James.
Yep.
Less than 1 year after a 3-year, $24 million extension, they release Andre James. He struggled a little bit in 2024. And then you have the what am I trying to say? The surge of JPJ.
Yeah.
You have a guy that was, a great center in college, played
he was
guard
the number
very
one
well.
center, came out of that draft and all that. Yeah.
And so, yeah.
He's going to be our starting center for the next 12 years.
I feel like he will be too. I think that if Andre James would have kept up playing as well as he did in, like, say, 2021, I think JPJ stays a guard, and I think Andre James stays a center. But that's not what we saw. And you can't have a fall off when you got a guy that can do your job better than you playing right next to you. It is going to last for long.
Yeah.
So
the one thing that I don't like about getting rid of Andre James is more just like a nostalgia thing, is because he was one. I mean, so now there's only like 3 Oakland Raiders left.
Oh yeah, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, who are they? Well, Max, obviously.
Max and Daniel Carlson and AJ Cole.
Oh, that's it.
And Colt Miller.
And Colton Miller. So we got 4.
I think we got 4 left.
4 Oakland Raiders. Wow, that's wild, man.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, which is interesting to contrast this. I remember when, for the longest time, Howie Long was the last Oakland Raider. The whole time they were in Los Angeles, and he was like, as Greg Townsend and all these guys started retiring, Howie Long was the last one. It was the last original Oakland Raider.
Yep.
Was Howie, which I guess still technically stands.
Yeah.
He was still the last original
Oakland Raider.
Original Oakland Raider. And then now watch Max Crosby end up being the last Oakland Raider.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
which is so cool that our ID, and that's one of my favorite IDs that we have still, is the Max Crosby thing, because he says this Max Crosby from the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. Not many people have that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Good call. Yeah. All right. So Andre James gets let go. And then here it goes. Geno Smith, March 7th, the Raiders solved their quarterback problem by sending a 2025 third-round pick via the New York Jets to the Seahawks for Smith. So basically, we just traded Devontae Adams for freaking
That's exactly
Geno
what
Smith.
we did.
Easily the best quarterback they've had since releasing Derek Carr. It'll be Smith's first time working out with offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. He has plenty of familiarity with Coach Pete Carroll and Greg Olson to help get him up to speed. 34-year-old may not be the quarterback of the future, but he gives him the quarterback. That gives us the quarterback for the present.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I love about this a lot, Jeff.
Okay.
Well, first off, I'll give you this. Wait, not that. Where's my other note here? Hold on. Hold on. There you go. Geno Smith's 27 regular season wins since 2022 are only surpassed by who, Jeff?
Would that be Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen?
There you go. And there's 3 other guys.
Ahead of him?
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes.
Stafford?
No, good guess. The guy that took his spot.
Oh, Goff?
And just won the Super Bowl.
Oh, Jalen Hurts.
There you go. So that's pretty damn good company.
It's good company, yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, and Lamar Jackson at 33. Geno Smith has 27 regular season wins. So this gives us a guy with some, quote, skins on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Been in the league for a hot minute. Won some significant games. Yes, I know they didn't win an NFC championship, but I know that the Seahawks
Has he won a playoff game for the Seahawks?
I don't believe so.
No?
No, I think they've been. Look that up. Look that up. I believe they've been, and I know that they've had a couple of 10-win seasons in there.
Yeah. Yeah, they were 10 wins last year.
10 wins last year, yeah. But anyways, the point being though about Geno is this: what this does is that it gives us stability, and it's been since we've had genuine stability at the quarterback position. And so when you look at what he does for the Raiders, is that it keeps us from having to be in panic mode. And when we were looking at the draft this year, and I've been saying this on this microphone for months now, when you look at the way that this draft was going to shape up and that we were going to have the number 6 pick, Jeff, that what?
No, he didn't win a playoff game.
He didn't win a playoff game. I didn't think so. So when you look at the number 6 pick, we had to be positioned to get a quarterback. We had to. We cannot go into another season without a quarterback. We tried it last year with a couple of Band-Aids, and obviously that it didn't work out. So we were beholden to make quarterback work in the top round of the draft this year, and that would require packaging picks, moving around. You know, even if you took a flyer on a guy late, but then you got to develop him. So what are you going to do this year? So Geno Smith gives us security and flexibility.
Yes.
And that's the word that I've been using, again, on this mic for the past good while now. Now you can do what's best for your team at number 6 and not have to do something because you have such a glaring need that needs immediate attention. Because that's what the quarterback position was for us. It was a glaring need requiring immediate attention. And so when you bring in a guy like Geno, they didn't bring him in because it's safe. They brought him in because it's stable. You have a guy that can win, and so you can add talent to the roster. Hopefully, my opinion, hopefully you're going to add offensive talent. You know, you guys know how I feel about Ashton Genty, and I think that would be an incredible move. And I don't even think you need to do it at 6 because the freaking Jets need a quarterback too. And guess what? They're picking at 7. So let them leapfrog us. Let's pick up an extra 3rd and then draft Genty next. You know what I'm saying? Or like whatever. Like there's going to be a lot of options for this team. But I love the Geno pick. I love the leadership that he brings. I love that his path to the NFL. Like this is a guy that was highly touted. He was coming out of West Virginia, right? It was where he came out of.
Yes.
Highly touted and kind of struggled on in his career. And it wasn't until he really yoked up with Pete that all of a sudden, man, something changed in Geno. When you listen to him and he talks about his relationship with Pete, he talks about the self-confidence that he got in playing for Pete and about how Pete's elevated him to use his own voice and to find his own leadership and all that. And it's like, you look at this guy's story, like that's a story I can get behind as a fan. Like he's a very easy guy to root for. This isn't like bringing in Russ where I'd be like, oh gosh, Russell Wilson. Like, eek. You know what I mean? Like this is like a guy like Geno Smith. It's like, okay, I can get behind this guy. I can root for this guy. This is an easy guy to cheer for. And,
hell yeah.
And he's the kind of guy that, look, man, if Shedeur Sanders falls to us at 6, or if one of these high profile quarterbacks does end up being around at 6 and we decide to take him, then great. I think that he can feel confident that we're not going to Kirk Cousins his ass. You know what I'm saying? That I think that he can look at it and be like, okay, now here's the guy that's going to, he's 34 years old. He ain't going to play forever.
No.
So he's going to mentor the next guy.
Yeah, he'll be our starter for the next 3 years and then have whoever sit behind him for a little bit and do it Green Bay style where you have your guy that you draft in the first round and, you just build him up and build him up and build him up. And then holy shit, by year 3, it sucks that it's, towards the end of his rookie contract if we go quarterback. But, you have a guy that's fully developed, knows the system, and is ready to roll.
And who is the biggest fan of treating quarterbacks that way? Because he feels that the NFL has an overriding quarterback development problem.
That would be part owner Tom Brady.
That would be Sir Thomas Edward Brady IV, right?
Yeah.
So the idea that this could go that way gives them an option. Again, back to the word flexibility. So if that happens, there's flexibility with quarterback. If not, then there's flexibility to move around. If not that, there's flexibility to what if Travis Hunter falls to 6? Like, it's possible. Like, it's
it totally is.
Like, the top 6 players in this draft, these guys are all world, man. Like, you can't miss on even the top, I'd say 9 or 10.
Yeah. Even if we go with the McMillan guy, the receiver out of, Arizona?
Yeah.
I mean, can't miss there.
That's
Holy
what
shit.
I'm saying. So there are huge, huge options that have opened for the Raiders by the acquisition of Geno Smith, and all it did was cost us a pick that we already had coming over from the freaking the Jets,
yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great move. I applaud this regime for getting this thing done. You know, that was one of my biggest critics, and my biggest criticisms, and I still believe one of the reasons Tom Telesco is no longer your general manager. You can't fail to get a quarterback in this league. You can't. I said it going back again on this show. You're gonna tie your legacy to Gardner Minshew. You can tie your legacy to Aiden O'Connell.
Right. Right.
You know, I remember saying specifically, if Tom Telesco gets fired, he ain't getting another GM gig anytime soon.
Heck no.
So how could you not sell the goddamn farm to get a quarterback, especially in a draft
where you had 7 all-world quarterbacks coming out?
and you couldn't figure out a way to get it done?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, man. I would, if that's me in that position, ain't nobody safe. Sorry, Max. I need a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to have a job if I don't have a quarterback. Like, that's, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not, that's not me advocating for that Tom Telesco should have traded Max Crosby. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But what I am saying is that if I was the general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders in 2024,
Yeah.
I would have done a whole shit ton more.
I mean, that's where you go. If you don't say Max Crosby, you go, well, F them picks for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, you know, Atlanta, whoever, here's our next 3 first-round picks. All right, we're going to go grab Penix or Bo Nix or whoever that was going to be.
Yeah. You have to sell the farm for a quarterback.
Yeah.
You have to, unless you've got a plan like what now.
Now we don't have to sell a farm for a quarterback. Now we can go Will Howard in the 4th round if we have to. Now we can go Kyle McCord in the 6th round if we have to. I hope we don't wait that long to get a quarterback, but you get what I'm saying. That now, like what you said, flexibility. We got options, people. We got options.
We got options.
Yeah.
And I think that even if you look at, like, wouldn't you have drafted Spencer Rattler? Like, because I know that there wasn't a ton of developmental guys later, but there were still other players that could have been attained in lower rounds. But to like go into it with like, okay, it's gonna be Gardner and it's gonna be AOC, and I'm gonna bet my career on this.
Yeah, you didn't grab anybody. Anybody?
That's what I'm saying. I have a hard time with that, man.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that, and I think that's ultimately what it costs. So this regime is clearly not making that mistake.
Well, there you go. There's another example of we got some adults in the room.
We got some adults in the room. And if it takes them, even if they don't draft said guy developmental this year or whatever, it's not the end of the world because Geno's going to play at a Geno expected level for probably at least 3 or 4 more years.
Yep.
So it's not the end of the world, even if it doesn't happen in this draft.
Yeah.
Even if we don't draft Will Howard or we don't draft
we go all in next year and go grab Arch Manning.
Oh my gosh. No, because then we'd have to have a high draft pick. We'd have to suck.
Well, or we just have to trade away everything to go get him.
Well, I don't think we're going to do that. That ain't never going to happen.
You never know.
Nah, I don't think this regime we're not in that position anymore. This is what we're talking about though. We don't have to panic now.
No,
We
absolutely
don't have to
not.
panic. So anything that hyper aggressive doesn't even need to be on our freaking on our bingo card because we're going to win 10 or 11 games this year anyways.
Absolutely, we will.
All right, here we go.
Let me say one more thing about that.
Sure.
You know, if we do draft,
No, Jeff.
your time is done. You've had enough. You've had enough. But no, I think what's really cool to hear what Geno Smith has to say about Pete Carroll, about how he, because Geno was a journeyman for his entire career until he landed in friggin' Seattle and he developed this guy and all that stuff. And so even as a defensive guy like Pete Carroll is, to see him develop a quarterback and to develop not only on the field, but off the field and the personal relationships and all that stuff, for Geno to think that much of Pete Carroll to be like, hey, if it's not working in Seattle, I want to go there. That's right. Because I'm telling you, that's what happened. When he didn't agree with that contract in Seattle, I think his first call was, hey, Pete, you got an offer? You got an offer? I want to come play with you. You know, I mean, you could say the same thing. Look at the development of Russell Wilson in Seattle. He had an amazing relationship with that too. So all that being said,
those are all testaments to Pete's leadership.
absolutely, man. So
Yeah.
now you go through and you draft a guy in the 3rd or 2nd or, you know, or it's Shador or whoever. Like, I'm telling you, we're in good hands in the quarterback room.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I just had to throw that in.
No, you're good, man. It shows a conversation. It's not just me talking to.
For the most part. Sometimes it is.
Fine, and you start a podcast.
Swag's fan cave. Oh my gosh.
You're just gonna sit around and talk about new era hats.
Oh, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, and culture kings.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
they never lose. That might be easier.
Well, they've lost a few.
Well, they have lost them.
Yeah, and you own them.
Oh, I've got them all.
Yeah,
I got 'em all.
You got that. So there's some. Yeah.
New era Jeff.
Oof. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm getting over being sick, Jeff.
Yeah, you are. All right, what happened
But
after
nobody
Geno?
cares. Nobody cares about that.
No, we don't give a shit.
Adam Butler then happens, though, on March 9th, after March 7th with Geno.
Perfect.
This move I love. The Raiders agree to terms with Butler on a 3-year contract extension. Oh, let me say this too real quick.
Okay, go.
I was going to throw this out there. I had just a couple interactions with folks on the Twitters there that pulled the, well, it's not your money. What do you care? Well, listen, here's why I care. I could give a shit what people make. I'm a capitalist at heart. I'm a firm believer of make what you make. Get your bag. It ain't show friends, it's show business, as the great Bob Sugar said. So go out there and get your money, whether it's from the Raiders or anybody else. I don't begrudge them one single bit. What I do give a shit about, though, is the competitive imbalance that can be struck when you overpay for players. So the only reason I'm interested in how much money someone makes is because it impacts the salary cap and it impacts the team's ability to make other moves. The end. After that, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. It's not my money. It's Mark Davis's money. But then guess what? That money's allocated under the salary cap anyways. So he's going to spend the same amount he's going to spend anyways.
Exactly.
You just got to pick where you're going to spend it. Well, when you pick wisely with where you spend it, then it makes your team more competitive. So that's the only reason why. So anybody that's ever got that whole thing and be like, well, what do you care about how much they make? Oh, well, because it impacts the team's ability to win.
Yeah.
The end.
If they make too much, then we don't have as good of players.
No.
Yeah.
The end.
Yep.
Like we've seen, again, to go back to what we talked about at the top of the show, we've seen what happens to a team when they spend improperly. How long did we pay Corey Littleton after he was not a member of the team ananymore?
Exactly.
3 years worth of dead money on that
Exactly.
goddamn on the cap. That's why I give a shit.
Yep.
So anyway, Adam Butler though, 3 years, $16 million,
That's a freaking bargain, dude.
11 guaranteed
That's a freaking
for a
bargain.
3-year deal.
Yep.
Butler, who was 30 years old, is angry about how free agency went a year ago. When he signed the 1-year deal to return to the Raiders, he responded by setting a career high in snaps, quarterback hits, and for an injury-riddled defense, also helped mentor Tyree Wilson. He signed originally with the Raiders in 2023, where he also, and then before that, played with the Dolphins, Patriots, and then won a Super Bowl ring. Playing with Tom Brady with the Patriots. But I love this move for the big man. We obviously need to have consistency inside.
Mm-hmm.
We need a lot of help there. We've got some. We're gonna really get to what we got going on the outside, which I think that we're all going to be excited about. But I think that, well, I don't want to. I'll get to it. I just think that there is going to be continuity and consistency based on what our front four is going to be that we were hoping to see last year.
Yes.
And we were robbed of that. I'll just say that.
There you go.
Any thoughts about Butler?
Yeah, I think he's a great rotational piece and stuff, and can step in and be a playmaker. And like you said, I feel like so far the theme of this free agency has been value.
Sure.
Not, don't overpay, but get your value. And that's exactly what we've done. So no, I think and that started it right there. I think that was a brilliant move by Spytech.
Absolutely. Okay, so then on March 10th, Spillane agrees to terms with the New England Patriots, so he gone. March 10th, also Trayvon Merrick, he gone. But what did we do to replace Trayvon Merrick was on March 10th, safety Jeremy Chin. The Raiders agreed to terms with Chin. The safety will get a 2-year deal worth $16 million. He will replace Merrick directly. And he started for 4 years with the Panthers before moving over to the Commanders in 2024. He arguably had the best season of his career last year, making 117 tackles, 7 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, and 1 interception. Man, I love Jeremy Chin, and he's physical. And what does Pete love? Physical DBs, man.
Absolutely.
So give me that guy all day long. Listen, Trayvon Merrick, again, nice player.
Yeah.
Did some pretty good things.
Yeah.
Okay. A great value pick for us. Your second rounder coming out of TCU. Like that was a good pick for the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
But this, when you look at the value of this versus what Merrick's contract is.
Yeah.
So Merrick's contract, 3 years, $51 million.
Bro.
This is 2 years, $16 million with very similar production.
I was about to say, yeah, 100%, man. You just read off all those stats, 117 tackles, 1 interception, pass breakups, all this and that. I was thinking, wow, that sounds just like Trayvon Merrick's numbers.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
almost identical.
But he's a little more physical.
And he's a little more physical and a whole lot less expensive.
Absolutely.
Value, baby.
Value. So I think it's a slam dunk. Then, of course, Nate Hobbs moves on, also on March 10th.
Mm-hmm.
But that, and we're bummed about that. I mean, I would like to have seen the guy stick around. Again, I was a fan of his.
I was, yeah, when he's on the field.
When he's on the field. But that's the thing. When you got availability, man, got to be around for it. But then, man, this might have been, I don't want to say my favorite because I got a lot of, I like a lot of these. But this, I thought, in terms of bringing back the guys that were ours.
Sure.
This is the move.
Yeah.
Malcolm Kuntz re-signs to a 1-year, $12 million contract. He missed 24 due to the torn ACLs, we know. But he had a breakout season in 2023 with 8 sacks. And 7 of those came in the second half of the season. That's where he was just balling out.
Holy cow.
But here's the point I was going to get to earlier. The Raiders had big plans for their starting defensive line before the injuries hit last season. And now they'll all be back. Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, Adam Butler, Malcolm Kuntz. Also returning are backups Tyree Wilson, Jonah Lalu, and Charles Snowden. I love what our front four is going to look like. I love it in rotation, and I love the starting guys up there. And I think that we were robbed of that opportunity last year of seeing Crosby, Wilkins, Butler, and Kuntz. And I think we're going to finally, we're going to see it. I'm here for it because if Kuntz can return to form, and I know they gave him a 1-year deal, and it's fair coming off of an injury.
Yeah, prove it year.
But guess what? He gonna get paid if he has another year like he did going back to 2023. And don't you know the Raiders will pay him? Like that won't be one.
Absolutely.
He won't be a guy that will make it out of the building.
Nope.
If we have a good year this year and the Raiders have even semi-dominant performance when it comes to the pass rush this year, that's a compliment of Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz. You think he gonna go anywhere? No.
Right.
And if he does, we'll have money to sign him. What a concept.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, this defensive line that we've got in its entirety is the best that I've seen in, I can't tell you how long. I think, once we have all these healthy pieces, I would love to see them also bring Chase on back.
Yeah, a lot of people like him.
Yeah, I like him, man. I think, he I think needed a change of scenery and stuff. And that dude last year in the injury-prone season that we had, that dude stepped up in a big, big way, man.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I get down with that guy.
That's true.
But no, I love it, man. And I would love to see kind of like what we talked about last year, too. It would be cool to see Tyree Wilson slide inside.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see him do something.
Yeah.
Something. As much as we
something
invested.
before we lose him to free agency because he ain't going to be re-signed.
No, not going the way that it's going. But
No.
he's gonna need some sort of a breakout this year.
Yeah.
What are we, year 3 now? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's gonna need some sort of a breakout. He's a first-round pick, so he'll have a 5th-year option. Should he really start to show something? So I mean, he could still be a Raider for a hot minute now.
Sure.
But I'm with you though. Like this is the time though. He's gonna have to break out a little bit. Something significant is gonna happen in his career. All right. So then next up on March 10th, Lonnie Johnson Jr., former Panthers safety. Johnson has largely been a special teams contributor in recent years. Hasn't started multiple games since 2021. Just 13 defensive snaps for the Panthers in 15 games last year, but he logged 339 special teams snaps. So the Raiders value him as a high-level backup and core special teams player, which
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. And it's inexpensive signing. I think it's a great one. This one is fun.
Okay.
Landon Roberts. After losing Bob Spillane to the Patriots, the Raiders agreed to terms with another former Steeler linebacker in Roberts. It's a 1-year deal worth $3 million. He played all 17 games for the Steelers last season, 46 tackles, 44% of the defensive snaps. He also overlapped with Raiders defensive line coach Rob Leonard when he was with the Dolphins from 2020 to 21. So there's some familiarity in the coaching staff. This guy also has 2 Super Bowl rings, by the way, because he played for the freaking Patriots and won 2 Super Bowls with said Tom Brady. He also, Sonny and I were at the game in Allegiant Stadium for the Raiders in 2021 to go to their 3-0 start on the year. This was the crazy scramble with all the kicks at the end and all that stuff for the Raiders to win it in overtime. But the only reason that game was that close is because Derek Carr threw a pick 6 to this guy early in the game.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Landon Roberts picked him off and took him back to the house. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think he's got 2 interceptions on his career, and one of them's a pick 6 against Derek.
Wow.
Go figure.
There you go.
But dude's legit, and he's going to wear the green dot. That's already coming out.
Good.
He's already
that's good. Well, you brought up PFF earlier, and I know we don't love PFF, and we're definitely not, we're not committed to that and that the end all be all or whatever. But you do look at his PFF grades against Robert Spillane; they're identical.
There you go.
Identical.
And it's 1 year for $3 million.
Yeah.
And what did I tell you Bob Spillane's contract was?
Is it 20-something million?
Let's see. They don't have it listed here. Anyways, yeah, it's big.
It's big.
It's big. It's way bigger.
Bigger than that.
Way bigger than that. Yeah. So anyway, I'm a big fan of that one. I thought that was good. All right. So then Divine Diablo moves on. 2 years, $14 million deal, moves on to the Atlanta Falcons. Again, another player. I always like Divine Diablo. And a very nice guy. Me and Michelle met him in the sure
plaza of the Mandalay Bay there. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Good guy. And he was a safety coming out.
Yes.
And he bulked up so he could play linebacker. So he, maintained still a lot of his speed. Like I was definitely a fan, but
I would have liked to see, because you look at his contract and that I feel like that's a value contract. That's an affordable contract. So it would have been nice to have one guy, one of the linebackers stick around, but I get it.
Yeah, I get it. 2 years, $14 million. Yeah, I'm with you. It's not crazy expensive, but again, another guy dealing with injuries.
That's true too.
There's another guy that struggled with injuries at times. Okay, so then this is fun. So this is the latest one. March 11th. What's today?
The 12th.
There you go. So we're caught up, man.
Yesterday.
Look at that.
What did we do yesterday, Murph?
Well, I'll tell you, we signed a cornerback.
Hell yeah, we did.
Yeah, we signed cornerback Eric Stokes. Shout out the University of Georgia. Agreed to terms with Stokes on a 1 year, $4 million. A lot of prove-it deals.
Hell yeah.
A lot of prove-it deal. 1 year, $4 million, according to a league source. Stokes makes 7 starts for the Green Bay Packers last season. The 2021 first-round pick has almost been an exclusively outside corner throughout his career and is expected to be the same with the Raiders. He'll be competing with Ja'Cory Bennett, Jack Jones, and DeCamerion Richardson for playing time on the outside. So we have sources, Jeff. We do. We have sources on the inside of Georgia Bulldog players. And in consulting with our sources earlier in the day, we were informed Stokes is fast. He's an athlete. This is our guy we're going to need to keep up with freaking, Xavier Worthy or everybody else that can pop the top off of a defense.
Yep.
And also a physical guy. Big guy. Was he 6'1"?
He's
right at 6 foot.
6 foot 195.
6 foot 195 and
4'2", 940.
Come on. And not afraid to stick his nose in there.
Uh-huh.
Man, I'm telling you, that's legit. Apparently he's a little something to be dealt with on a corner blitz. We'll just say that.
Oh yeah. University of Tennessee knows firsthand. Yeah, he blew some folks up.
Who was that? It wasn't Hooker. Would have been before him.
No, it would have been Josh Dobbs probably.
Josh Dobbs. There you go. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
oh
Josh.
My gosh, yeah. So anyway, so good stuff there. Look forward to seeing him compete. And, and that feels like a very Raidery thing. Obviously having fast corners, that's something that's synonymous with the Raiders. And then also something too, I failed to mention earlier when we talk about Geno. What's something else that's been synonymous with the Raiders?
Oh, reclamation projects at quarterback.
Well, yes, and the ability to throw the deep ball.
Oh, well, that too.
And
Boy,
when was the
yeah.
last time we had somebody that could really throw a deep ball? I know Derek's got a
Derek
nice
had a good one, yeah.
Derek's got a pretty good deep ball. Geno Smith's got a great deep ball.
He's got a great
You know, so, you know, Trey Tucker, come on now.
Look out.
Look out. Oh,
Mhm.
gosh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Let's go.
And I don't think we're done. We're not done in free agency.
No. We'll have more to talk about
Who's
next
the
year.
one? Who's the one you think? Who's the one that you were like, why isn't he here yet? Because I've got one.
Okay, you go.
Tyler Lockett.
Oh, sure.
So I'm just waiting for my phone to light up to get that notification.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like that's all but a done deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't heard anything about
Sure.
that. That's just
It just makes
me.
sense.
It just makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anybody that shoots
Okay.
up off the top of my head. Because I frankly, it was Geno, if anybody.
Yeah.
That was the one where I was like, well, Geno or Russ.
Yes.
Which I wasn't thrilled about the idea of Russ, but I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I get it though if it happens.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, for sure. But
Yeah.
you know, so I think it's cool because you know we had all this talk of who's going to be the guy to come in. Were we going to bring in, like you said, Russ, Justin Fields, all that stuff? I didn't even know that Geno Smith was on the radar. Period. So like you know, looking at it now, like I think we got the best quarterback in free agency this year.
Yeah, of all the quarterbacks that were available. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Geno. I mean, if Geno would have been a free agent instead of having to trade for him, he would have been the top sought after guy. I think more than Sam Darnold.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah,
don't
I
know.
do.
That's interesting. Okay.
I do.
Yeah, because you got A-Rod out there still. Like that's
Yeah, and he ain't on a team yet.
he's gonna be a Steeler.
I think he's going to be a commentator.
You think so? Or
I
a
think he-
Giant?
Yeah.
How
I don't
about
know,
Indiana Jones, dude?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it was funny.
Indiana Jones, man.
Uh-huh.
Jeez.
Uh-huh.
Danny Dimes and
Yeah.
freaking Indy.
Yeah, man. He might take over that starting job.
Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
Would also wouldn't shock me if they draft somebody.
I think they might
think they're just gonna
I think they
roll-
might just do both.
But
I think Anthony Richardson, which we talked about that. Anthony Richardson, everyone was so friggin' high up on that dude when he came out of the, because he came out the same year as CJ, right? So that was what,
out
2
of
3
Florida,
years
yeah.
ago or
Uh-huh.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like everyone
he's a
was
combine darling.
yeah. I'm a University of Tennessee football fan. I saw Anthony Richardson, and he ain't that good.
No.
He wasn't that good. He was extremely inaccurate. Yes, he was fun because he's athletic and can move around and do all that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, man, yeah, that dude is a bust and a half.
That's why I'm scared of Milroe. That's the same things. Like you get these, these super talented guys, but then they can't freaking throw a 10-yard out.
Yep.
I'm like, nah. Like you gotta be able to, you gotta be accurate in the NFL. You gotta be able to throw it. And I don't care if you can throw it a mile, but if you can't throw a 10-yard out, like you know what
That's
I'm
true.
saying?
That's
like
true.
you got to be able to throw that across the field,
Mhm.
and on time and accurately. And so anyway, I heard, in the old days, it used to be when you would get these guys that would come out and they would get converted to other positions,
Sure.
right? Terrell Pryor is a good example of that, right?
Yep.
Plays quarterback and then gets converted to wide receiver. Whatever.
Uh-huh.
I've heard a lot of people talking about the Anthony Richardson tight end.
Interesting.
Makes sense to me. And if I remember when it was Tebow, and Tebow was like, "Nope, I'm a quarterback. I'm only ever going to be a quarterback, and that's going to be it." Where he could have been a brilliant H-back. Like he could have been like a Marcel Reese kind of guy. Like he could have been electrifying as a guy that could line up in the backfield, also play tight end. Like he could have been incredible. But to be so married to one position, to me, if that's me, I'm like, I just want to be in the NFL.
Yeah, I want to play.
I want to play.
I want to get paid.
I want to get paid and I want to play. So if I've tried it at quarterback and it's not working out, why not convert to another position?
Yeah. And at the end of his career, I think he did, right? Didn't he try out for the Jaguars? He tried out for the Jaguars as a tight end.
Did he? I don't remember.
Very end of his career.
Oh, that would have been too late after he's already playing baseball and all that other
And it was
bullshit.
after all that. Like he
Okay,
came
yeah.
back and just tried out or whatever, and obviously didn't make it.
No, but he should have done it freaking year 2 or 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think he would have. But anyways, the point being though, it wouldn't shock me if that's the way that they went with Anthony Richardson. You know, and I hate it for these guys because I know they want to be quarterbacks, but guess what? I mean, shit. I want to be on friggin' NFL Network.
Yeah. But Raiders fan radio will just have to do.
Just will have to do. This is my tight end.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. All right, Jeff, you got anything else before we get out of
I
here?
don't think so, man. No, this is fun, man. Like I said at the beginning of the show, man, this is a fun time of the year, and so don't get too down, don't get too up, and all that. But it's okay to feel the hope, you know.
Feel the hope.
Feel the hope, man, and don't be upset because there's so many people that are upset right now. Of the Raiders aren't doing anything. Well, except that we did. Except we did a bunch of stuff.
We just had 4 sheets of notes of things that we've done already this offseason. And oh yeah, by the way, we have the draft still coming.
And we got the draft.
And it's free agency shit is still not even over.
Yeah.
Like we still got a ways to go.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just be patient.
We didn't get the top name guy, and that's okay. Guess what? We did that last year.
Come on.
We went and got Christian Wilkins last year. He was the number 2 free agent on the friggin' board. And we went and got that guy. We're not going to do that shit every year. We can't afford it. We ain't got that kind of money.
We can't do that every year.
Can't do it every year.
And 2 years before that, we went and got Devontae Adams and traded away a bunch of our top draft picks to do it.
Yeah.
How much of that, how worth it was that? To sell the farm to go get Derek's best friend. How'd that work out?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like big swings are not
always pan out.
No. And I would say more often than not, do they not pan, like they don't pan out. What pans out is bringing in developmental players through the draft or through wise moves in free agency. That is the way of the NFL. I will pound the damn table on that idea that the modern day NFL is you construct your stars through the draft, then you develop in free agency.
Yeah.
That's it. And then when you find their ceiling and they're not a superstar, you don't overpay for them and you go find some more guys to do the same thing.
There you go.
That's it. You just churn. Look what the Chiefs are. Look what the Chiefs are. They have superstars and then they churn in the draft.
Yeah.
They didn't overpay to keep, Shavarius Ward or is that who I'm thinking of? No. That's the guy from the Niners. Who's the guy from MTSU that went to the oh my gosh, Richie James.
Yeah.
They didn't overpay, right? Like you look at the players they bring in. Where does that they have their superstars? You got Kelsey, you got Chris Jones, you got Mahomes, obviously, right? But then what are they doing? They churn everywhere else, including wide receiver.
Yeah. They make superstars.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do. You secure your stars and then you churn your depth. That's what great teams do.
Exactly.
So that's what the Raiders need to do, man. That's the modern day NFL.
Yep.
So same thing. They can say that with the Ravens. And not that they can't make a splashy move and go out and get a Derrick Henry or whatever. But again, you've got a handful of superstars and then everything else is churning.
Yep.
Somebody out there name me 5 defensive starters of the Baltimore Ravens right now.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, same thing. You could even argue that with the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Same thing. You get your superstars and then you churn.
That's it.
So,
did you see who they just picked up?
Yeah. Joey Bosa. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
They're going to be a handful, man. If that dude can stay healthy.
If he can stay healthy.
Because they lost Von Miller because Von Miller retired or they just cut him. I think they just cut him, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they brought him in to be the Von Miller. The closer for that team. And that's the way I would treat him. I don't want to sit here and talk about the Bills and Joey Bosa, but if I'm the Bills, I'm using him on selective snaps. I'm not wearing him out all season long so he can freaking go glass Joe and in week 9 and then miss him for the playoffs.
Exactly.
I'm bringing him in on critical downs, third downs. That's it. Just go get an F quarterback. Yep. Point that big ass nose towards the other guy over there holding the football.
Exactly. Old Pinocchio.
Oh my gosh. The Bosas.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Ready to get out of here?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Yeah. Thanks everyone for being here.
Tell them everything.
Okay, I'm going to tell them everything. So if you're new to the show, we have a nonprofit that we started called the One Nation Foundation. So that's where we give all of our money that we make doing this show to different Raider-related charities like Raider Dad, like the Bolitnikoff Foundation, like Max Crosby Foundation. All of our good friends there, we support all of those folks, and we can't do that without you guys, without the monetary donations, the likes, the subscribes, the shares, the telling your Raider friends about us, the donations for the Summer of Swag that's going to be coming up around the corner, all that. So all that is because of you guys and all of our sponsors that we get. We don't get those sponsors without you guys. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing, hitting the like button, all that stuff. And you can find us on all social media platforms at Raiders Fan Radio, except for Facebook, where it's Raiders Fan Radio Podcast. But we don't have a whole lot of interactions on the
Not
Facebook.
a ton on the Facebooks.
We're all here on the X. That's
mainly where we play. And TikTok.
And TikTok.
You love the TikToks.
I love me some ticky talky talks,
Hell
man.
yeah, you do.
For sure. So thanks again for being here for the Raiders Fan Radio rundown. You got anything?
Just look for us back here. If you don't subscribe to the podcast yet, please find us on any audio podcast service just by searching Raiders Fan Radio and hit a like, hit a review. But please listen to the audio show there. Support the audio show. That generates advertising opportunities for us, and 100% of that money we give away to the foundation. And then also you can find us typically each and every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern here on the YouTubes. We will be back live next week. We're going to have Michelle back in here, and it should be fun. Maybe we'll get QB Jeff in here too. It'd be fun
cool.
because we're going to have a lot. Now, because free agency will be not wrapping up, but it will be well into it by that point, and we'll be barreling on with our attention towards the draft. So,
heck yeah.
So it should be a really fun show next week. So definitely join us live, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Tell your Raider friends.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, everybody. Respect.
Love you guys.
See you. Bye.
Good night, YouTube.
Goodbye.